Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are really digging into a single question from your sources, and it's a big one. What is the actual long-term financial health of the Houston Rockets? We're going to break down their roster, their projections, and figure out if they can really afford to keep this amazing young core and still go big game hunting for a star.
And the key here isn't just today's numbers, it's about timing. All the sources you sent are zeroed in on the 3-year mark from now.
Okay, why 3 years specifically?
Well, a couple of huge things happen then. First, veteran contracts like Steven Adams are off the books. And maybe more importantly for the whole league, that's when a lot of people expect Kevin Durant to retire.
So that's the big reset button for the whole franchise. The mission today is, does GM Stone's plan actually work? He's gotten a lot of credit for focusing on talent first. But can they lock everyone up, build a winner, and still have that flexibility for a true superstar?
That is the ultimate test, right? Managing the salary cap for a contender, I mean, you have to be so precise, especially with the new CBA and the media deal money about to hit.
Okay, let's unpack this, and I guess we have to start with the foundation. The guys who are already locked in. Looking at that front court, you just see, well, stability and incredible value. Alperen Sengun is on a 5-year, $185 million deal, which sounds like a lot of money.
It is a lot of money, but in NBA terms, the sources all call it a steal, a high-quality contract.
What does that mean exactly?
It just means his performance is way, way higher than what you expect for that salary. For a center who does everything he does, that $37 million a year is already a bargain. And with the cap about to explode, it's like getting him at 2024 prices for the rest of the decade.
And it's the same story with Jabari Smith Jr. right next to him. 5 years, $122 million. That's less than $25 a year.
Another phenomenal piece of business. I mean, you've locked up your modern, switchable front court for a combined $62 million a year. And you can't forget Steven Adams in this. His deal for the next couple of years is like the perfect buffer for those two. Lets them develop without all the pressure.
So the whole front court is just seen as this high-value, low-cost asset.
Absolutely. The cost-performance ratio is off the charts.
Okay, so that's the good news. $300 million anchored in the front court, all seen as good value. But here's where it gets really interesting. Now we have to project the guys who need new deals right around that 3-year mark. Amen Thompson and Tari Eason.
And Thompson's projection is really complex. It all comes down to where he plays on the floor.
Right. He's being used as the primary point guard, the one spot, and the sources say it might not be his best fit long term.
And that's a development problem that directly impacts his next contract. We're hearing that all that three-point work he did in the summer, it's not really showing up.
Why?
Because he's just burning so much energy running the offense every single play. His legs are dead. And it's so bad that it's now affecting his defense, which is supposed to be his elite skill.
And the timing is just brutal. He's heading into his 3rd year, so this next season is basically his contract year.
Yeah, exactly. And because of these issues, it's looking pretty unlikely he'll get a max extension, not based on what he's showing right now.
So what's the sweet spot then? What should the Rockets be aiming for?
The sources all seem to land in a pretty specific range, a long-term deal probably between $25 and $30 million a year on average.
Okay, and the logic behind that number is key, right?
It is, because it's not just about what he's worth now. It's about what $30 million means in 3 to 5 years.
You're talking about the huge salary cap jump from the new TV deal.
Precisely. The cap could go from, $142 million today to a projected $222 million. So a $30 million contract suddenly goes from being like 21% of the cap down to maybe 13 or 14%. It becomes a super efficient, movable deal.
So it's like an investment against inflation. If he pops, it's a total bargain.
It's the perfect way to put it. It's risk mitigation. And the sources are, pretty confident he'll figure it out. With his work ethic, he'll either become a good enough point guard or an elite secondary playmaker. And for $30 million, either of those outcomes is a huge win.
All right, let's shift to Tari Eason. The sources are really clear on this one. He is a guy the Rockets must retain.
Non-negotiable. His energy, his defensive versatility, it's just part of their identity.
But his negotiation is a little more complicated.
Yeah, it comes down to one thing: reliability. The fact he didn't get an extension this past offseason isn't a red flag on its own. But his physical availability, his attendance issues, that's a major concern for any team about to write a big check.
So you're paying for the impact, but you have to discount it for the risk that he's not on the floor.
That's the tightrope they have to walk. And the projection lands somewhere between $20 and $25 million a year. And the sources were pretty direct here, suggesting Eason himself needs to be realistic about his health in these talks.
So he might be better off taking a bit less per year for more guaranteed money overall.
Exactly. Lock in the stability. Because the team knows his value, but they also know the health records better than anyone. They know exactly how much risk they're taking on.
Okay, so now let's pull the timeline together. All these new deals are projected to hit the books at the exact same moment, 3 years from now.
Yep, that's the financial event horizon. Steven Adams' deal ends, and as we said, Kevin Durant is expected to retire. That's a ton of money vanishing from team payrolls.
And that's also when Reed Sheppard will be ready for his first big extension. His rookie deal is so cheap for what he's producing, the sources are calling it a welfare contract.
It's an old term, but yeah, it just means the team is getting championship-level value for, like, minimum wage in NBA terms.
Right.
But just because he's a huge bargain now doesn't mean he's an automatic max player on his next deal.
Why not? He seems to be on that track. The sources say getting a max is very difficult for him.
Well, max contracts are usually for guys who just dominate the game on both ends. And the sources made a really interesting comparison to a young Steph Curry.
Oh, so?
When Curry was up for his first extension, he'd had ankle issues, and he wasn't Steph Curry yet. He took a deal way below the max. And that deal basically became the foundation for the entire Warriors dynasty. It was the best value contract maybe ever.
So what does Sheppard still need to prove to get into that max conversation?
He needs to show more game influence, and specifically better defense. His defense is still seen as a step behind where even Curry was at that age. He needs to prove he can be a positive on that end of the floor consistently.
So given that, what's his number looking like in 3 years?
The projection is in that same range as Eason, actually, 20 to 25 million a year. If he hits 25 and keeps improving, that's still an incredible deal for Houston.
All right, let's put it all together then. This is the bottom line. We've got Sengun and Smith locked in. We've got projections for Thompson, Eason, and Sheppard. What does the total salary for that core five look like in that one single pivotal year?
This is the really fun part. You add it all up. Sengun at 37, Smith at 25, Thompson at the high end, 30, Eason and Sheppard both at 25. You get a grand total of right around $140 million.
$140 million for your entire young core. That sounds like a lot, but you have to put it in context. What is the projected luxury tax line for that season?
With all the new TV money, it's projected to be a staggering $222 million.
Wow. Wait, so a 140 core against a 222 tax line? That leaves over $80 million of space below the tax.
It's an incredibly healthy cap situation. I mean, $80 million below the tax gives you every tool in the toolbox under the new CBA. You can use the full mid-level exception. You can take on salary in trades. You keep your draft picks. You aren't restricted at all.
So they're not just competitive, they're efficiently competitive. They can still build.
Exactly. That gap is big enough to fill out the roster with quality role players and still have enough room to go out and sign one legitimate max-level star to be the final piece.
Plus, you can't forget those dividend rookies, as the sources called them. The guys coming in from the Nets and Suns draft picks on cheap rookie deals, adding even more depth.
The conclusion is just unmistakable. The financial groundwork that GM Stone has laid is just, it's incredibly effective. The whole structure is strong, it's sustainable, and it's built for one purpose: to go star hunting when the time is right.
It's kind of stunning to see it laid out. $140 million for the core against a $222 million line. It really does confirm that they are set up to be in one of the most flexible, desirable situations in the entire league.
It completely changes the conversation, right? The hard part is done. The structure is there. So now the question totally shifts. It's not if they'll have the space anymore.
Right.
It's how do they use it? Which star player is the right fit culturally and on the court to maximize that window that's about to open? That's the real decision they have to make.
A fascinating problem to have. The financial path is clear. Now it's just about the talent. Thanks for listening. See you next time.